And middle management, I'll be honest with you, that's what I'm afraid of, because middle management are normally made up of people, not all the time, but most of the time, that are solid, don't rock the boat, move things forward. If that was your strength as a middle management manager, chances are AI is going to take your job.
Welcome to the CTO Compass podcast. I'm your host, Mark Wormhoort, tech strategist and executive coach. In every episode, we meet tech leaders, from startup CTOs to enterprise CIOs, to explore what it means to lead in tech today. They share their stories and their lessons so that you can navigate your own journey in tech. Let's dive into today's episode. Today's conversation is one more about AI. We're not going to talk so much about technology, but a lot more about the human side of it. A lot of us treat AI just like software. So guest today is Stephanie Sylvester. She is a CIO, COO. She spoke at TEDx, and she spent years in a large organization as a CIO. This was long before AI became mainstream. She led transformations, automated a lot of different business processes, cut costs dramatically, and actually she did that creating more trust instead of just breaking it all down, and it actually built morale. She's now the co-founder of Avatar Buddy, a company that's building what she calls managed human-centric AI. We're going to talk about that, and is there more as an employee to support than just another tool. She's worked across enterprises, public sector, education, underserved communities, and I'm as interested as you are where today's conversation is going to lead us. Stephanie, absolutely welcome. I'm really happy to have you here.
Thank you, Mark, for having me. I'm super excited to have a wonderful conversation and see where it leads as well.
And let's start with, AI. It's a topic that everybody talks about today. I want to start there as well. And I think you've said something along the lines of most organizations fail with AI because they just treat it like software, not something that needs to be managed from a cultural perspective, a human perspective. How do you see that? Tell us more.
When I think about AI, I think about it as a social construct. That seems like a scary term, but basically what it is, it's just saying that AI changes everything it touches at scales we've never seen before. I refer to this whole evolution that we're going through as Renaissance 2.0. First Renaissance was 500 years in the making. It was slow. And the where I put the two together is that they both create a democracy to information and knowledge that for a long time was concentrated in a small amount of hands. So Max Weber and Martin Luther taught people how to read and write, and the scales fell off of their eyes. AI gives you access to content that you would never ever have gotten access to, so now your people's scales are falling off of their eyes again, and that makes me excited, because what happens when everybody has access to the same information? Does the farmer in rural Ghana become just as evolved as the industrial farmer in Ohio? That's the question. That's the question of the day. And so we're focused on how to deploy AI. So when we talk to leaders, we tell leaders, look, you could start with just deploying AI like a tool, and it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to have any traction and impact. But if you're intentional and you start with planning, thinking about why you want to use AI, what pain points you're trying to overcome, then what you then have is a roadmap, and then you add your data. And I tell people, AI without data is just a complete mess. And if your data is not clean, if it's not organized, if you don't understand the data, if it's a black box, you're going to have a lot of problems with AI. And even I have experienced this personally, even though I run an AI company. I tried Midjourney when it came out. I tried Sora. I tried Gemini. I tried all of these AI agents to create images. And it was just such an exercise in frustration that I had given up. I said, I don't know how to create images. Then we upgraded our solution so that I could create images inside of Avatar Buddy. So the AI agents that we have now create images. And I was like shocked about the preciseness and the beauty of the images. And then I was like, what is it? It's not that our AI is any special than others. My AI now, my AI agents are using the data that's in the small language model in the data vault. And so I could give it simple prompts and it knows what I want to do. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is beyond amazing. And what it just reinforced my position that data and context and the AI will do what you need it to do. Without data, without context, it's just a exercise in frustration.
I have so many questions about everything you just said, but let me start at the beginning. Tell us just a little bit more about Avatar Buddy. What is it? What's the product you provide? How does it work? Who are your customers?
Avatar Buddy is a managed AI as a service. We realized early on that giving people AI and treating it like a piece of software was not going to work. And so telling people how to create the AI was okay, but I don't know if you remember Hello World back in the 90s when everybody was going to learn how to code, right? And they had all these classes with hello let's start with Hello World, and most people didn't even get past Hello World. Some people didn't even get to Hello World. And I thought about it that way, and I said, people are going to want to use this tool. They're not going to want to learn how to write prompts, how to create system prompts, how to what if we did that on their behalf? And all they had to do is like at a restaurant. I just show up, I sit down, I say, I want this and I want this, and it appears. That's what we're doing. We're saying, tell us what AI you want done, and we'll do it for you. We'll manage them, we'll update them. And by the way, we'll say, hey, again, like the restaurant, the pairing, what wine should you go with this meal? We'll be like, here's some other AI tools that we don't make, but would complement what we're doing nicely.
Nice. So making it a lot easier. Do you then also focus on the data side that you just talked about? Because bringing
Yes.
in all that corporate or company data?
Yeah. We help people walk through their data journey, and we help them determine if their data is clean or not. But the one thing we don't do is we don't take control of their data. They control the data. They put it into the data vault. They remove it from the data vault if they don't want it there anymore. They're full control of the data. That way we have no confusion.
So, and what are some of the results that you've seen? Like, what are some of the companies that you've worked with, and what do they look like?
So we're using data to help. We're using our small language model. We built 501 historian for the government of Belize. And so the education department now has this amazing archive, and now people can access it. We created AgriBoost Buddy for DevHub Africa. It's a nonprofit in Ghana, and they're using it to teach farmers in rural Ghana how to do sustainable farming. We have the Black Archives using it to write grants and getting more grants. We have Stella Achievement using it to improve their workflow, and their workflow improved by 67%. We have Gen 2050 using it to create a video game. We just an amazing array of solutions that we're using it for, and almost everywhere it's like about helping people feel good about themselves, amplifying the human
Side of, and I love that because when we talk, well, a lot of the people that I talk to in AI, they are in, I would say, corporate life. They work with corporate organizations. I mean, they're in logistics or supply chain or in audio generation or right those kinds of fields. These are such different fields. I'd love to hear the story about Ghana a bit more. Right? How do you even get people in Ghana to access systems like this? I know that SMS is a big thing there, but happy to hear that the internet is actually coming online there as well. How have they gone from what they used to do to now actually using AI to improve their farming or even sustainable?
So DevHub already had an infrastructure where they would send people into the rural areas. But the problem is that's labor intensive, logistically challenged, and you can't send people as frequently. So what they've done is the the teachers are going out, and then when there's a question, they're asking the AI, and the AI is answering it real time. And for the farmers that have internet connection, they can go and access it themselves. If they have internet connection and can speak English, we're still we're working on Twee, and we got the Twee to work in terms of written Twee, but spoken Twee, we're still refining that. I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks we'll have a new solution for them to try. But again, right, living at this intersection where normally big corporate places don't care about Twee because it's only spoken in Ghana and I think maybe one other country, and population's too small. But for me, helping this organization be able to have the AI speak Twee, I mean, that's like life changing.
It is because I mean, yeah, I don't know how literate these people are, so I can imagine reading, writing for some of these farmers may be difficult. Having a spoken interface to, I say, the world, the AI, which, well, as we all know, and has access to almost everything, is absolutely incredible. Giving that kind of access, nice.
Yeah.
So, and still, your background is much more in, I would say, not corporate, but in the larger American organizations. You've done a lot of automation there. What is it? The things that you've learned in the past that you're now applying here today?
Well, so I have a master's in economic development and Latin American studies.
So non-technical, non-CS.
It's yeah, and I was fortunate as my first job out of graduate school was as an intern at Hewlett Packard, and I met one of the original Unix coders, and he gave me a master class in computer science. And I was like, oh, this computer thing is like actually pretty easy. This is in the mid 90s, and if you had the dexterity, you got in there. I mean, the money they were throwing at you, probably the AI boom, they're throwing even more money at you when you could when you hold for inflation. But it was kind of cool to be able to go into this space. I enjoyed it. I had a great time. And so now what I'm seeing is that I can hold my own with AI because I have the social science training and way of looking, and I have the technical training and way of looking as well. So for the first time, I'm merging my schooling with my practical learning, and then we add one more component, the ability to use technology to solve problems. I've always tried to figure out how to do that, could never scale it. Now you can scale this, absolutely scale this in ways that not even I can think about, but I'm always fascinated when people tell me how they're scaling.
Yeah, yeah. There's almost, I'd say, almost no limits anymore to how far you can scale even these simple AI solutions. If you have these larger backends, there's so much that you can do. You've also done a lot of automation in your past, and a lot of that, well, you've automated, and I think I've read somewhere up to 70, 80, 90% of business process in the past, but actually boosting morale. In most cases, people don't like automation. People get fired or let go because it's optimized, more efficient. What's your view on that?
Well, when you think about automation and why people don't like automation is because they're afraid, right? So there's a culture that people like to think if I heard information and I create a little fiefdom, they can't fire me. 2008 basically said that is no longer true. Um, and so I tell people, if you hold everything in your hand, when somebody comes and gives you something else, what is it that you're going to be able to get? So do you want to tight grip what you have right now, or do you want to loosely put it aside so you can grab something better and more valuable? So one organization I worked at, we used to do contracting. It used to take us 6-8 months to do contracting. It was tedious. Nobody liked it. Everybody hated it. There were 13 people reviewing contracts, and all the contracts always had errors in them. And one of the people that was just like, realized that, you know what, Stephanie will listen to me if I come. She just got fed up of the contracting process, and she wrote the new process. And I was like, well, we can just automate this, and we can put this all into this was not AI. This is just simple business process optimization and automation. 2 people approving contracts getting executed in 6 weeks and less, almost no mistakes.
Nice. And I'm asking, of course, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the people most impacted by that, some got promotions, some got out of jobs. I think maybe 2 people got fired, but it wasn't because of the automation. It was because of other things.
Yeah, and of course the same, and that's why I asked, the same applies to AI these days. I mean, AI is going to change a lot of our jobs. The contracts that you just talked about, I mean, I've seen the contract analysis, optimization, review AI tools that are out there already, and I've read those 300, 400, 500-page contracts myself. I mean, it was the hell of my job, so I'm happy that that's going to get automated away, because, I mean, I hated it. Still, how should people look at all these changes that are now coming? How do I get ready to actually add more value or take this on in my job instead of just holding on to what I had out of safety?
So I'll break it down into 3 levels. So start with management. So one of the problems that management has is clarity of thought, and how what they're thinking cascades through the organization. So if it takes you 2-3 weeks to come up with an idea, a strategy, figure out how you're going to implement it, and then cascading it through the organization, it's maybe 3 or 4 months, and that might not even be relevant anymore, depending on which industry you're in. Now I can sit down and I'm just, as I'm putting on my CEO hat, I can sit down, I can create a strategy, I could create an implementation plan, and I could give it to my team, and that takes me maybe 45 minutes, hour and a half. And then my team goes and edits it. So now there's clarity. True, it's not weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So you should be, as a C-level person, be able to run your line of sight more effectively and efficiently with AI, helping you to get the stuff out of your head, walk through the processes. Then I'm gonna jump to entry-level people, and they're like, and then I'm gonna come back, and then I'm gonna come back to middle management, because I do want to spend some time on middle management. So entry-level people, everybody's like predicting, oh, entry level is gone, it's done, it's not gonna have. And I say, wait, there's one position that they talk about when they say that: software engineering. I mean, if you're on a dev team, you're in technology, you know that you need more than a software engineer. I mean, software engineer is one of maybe 6 or 7 roles that you might have on a team to develop anything. So I say that entry-level people with the right AI configured actually can scale. So part of the reason why I'm on this podcast is because I have an intern, and I delegated my brand management to an intern with confidence. And why did I do that? Because she has a marketing buddy and an editor buddy that she uses to write and apply for each podcast. And those buddies ensure and reinforce my culture. So when she's working at 11, 12 o'clock at night, she doesn't have to call me. The AI is helping her. And we're averaging about 5 podcasts a week. And those are like really good, healthy podcasts, not like questionable podcasts. So she has an AI that's properly configured with the right data set. She can excel and she could do something that otherwise wouldn't be able to do. So then let's talk about middle management. And middle management, I'll be honest with you, that's what I'm afraid of. That's the part that I'm most afraid of, because middle management are normally made up of people, not all the time, but most of the time, that are solid, don't rock the boat, let's move things forward. And so if that was your strength as a middle management manager, chances are AI is going to take your job. Like, just being honest. If your strength as a middle manager, which is something that middle managers rarely ever have time to do, is to develop people, then you are going to excel in the AI space. Because you see that intern that I just spoke about, I still have to meet with her once a week, but the conversations we have once a week are about coaching, about like mentorship, about developing her so she can understand that, like, if somebody tells you X, this is how you interpret it, right? And so like I tell people, the example I like to give is, if you're an entry level person and your boss, let's say your boss's boss, says, "Hey, Mark, I'm having a party on Friday night. You should come over." And you go, "I'm not going to go party with some old person."
Uh,
Will the AI know to tell you that that is a bad career move for you? Right?
yeah.
The AI will not. But the middle manager that says, "You got invited to Stephanie's party?" That's huge. Only these people get invited to Stephanie's party. Make sure you go. And let me tell you how to go about when you get to the party and prepare so that you show up well. AI is not going to be able to do that. I don't think it's going to be able to do that ever, but never say never. So that's where middle management comes in, grooming the next team of leaders. And so that's where I say to middle managers, like, you have to embrace it, because if you don't embrace it, upper management's still going to implement it, and they're going to implement it without you. And if you're not at the table, the solutions they put in will make your job redundant. But if you're at the table, and not at a table to resist, but at a table to be a true partner, you can see how you can put solutions in place that are human centric, human focused, human in the middle, that then builds morale and makes people excited about coming to work, even though they're using AI.
And it sounds like all those three levels, C level, the entry level, well, that's for the entry level, and the middle management, they need to evolve quite significantly from the old jobs that they had. And I say less for the entry level because they're new to the game. So for them, it's almost BAU because they recently started, but for the rest, they need to evolve. How, and in my business, in my world, I've always seen a lot of people that are waiting to evolve, that want to learn, that want to grow, that want to take the next step. But as many people that aren't comfortable, that are just very comfortable with what they've learned in the past and are stuck there. How do we get, and it's been a question along my career, so I'm hoping that you have more insights. How do we get that second group? How do we take them along as well? How do we motivate them or take them along?
I say to them, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but if you've ever read 1984, The Untouchables, that's where you're going to head. You're not going to be able to get a job. You're not going to be able to be to live in this world. I don't know that universal basic income will come about, but even if it does, you're still going to be a shell of yourself, because we need purpose to live and to go forward. And so if you have no purpose, who are you then?
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I see just so many people that are really struggling along that line. But it leads me to the other question that I wanted to ask, and it's what you said all the way at the beginning. It's about how AI actually it unlocks say almost the information of the world to everybody out there. And I agree with that. And it's been growing over the past, I would say, 20 years with the internet. I mean, we've had Wikipedia, we've had free online programming courses for the past 20 years, and it's evolved into AI where you can just ask any question in almost any language, spoken or at least written, and get an answer on almost anything you would like to know. How do we get people to make use of that? How do we motivate the people to actually go and do that and use it and evolve along with that as well? From the farmers in Ghana to the people in Nigeria that are more on CS to the people in Florida or in the Netherlands that also need to go along. And there's a lot of effort involved to go along and to involve.
So when you think about learning pre-AI, right? You would get online, somebody would talk to you or talk at you. There was really no real mechanism for you to talk back. There was no opportunity for a conversation. If you did a self-paced course, you would just go through the stuff. You couldn't really stop and ask any clarifying question. And so only the most disciplined people will get through a course like that. I mean, I honestly, I can't learn like that. Like, if I go somewhere and they say we're just gonna talk at you, like my brain already shuts down. If they're like, here, watch these videos and answer the question at the end, I just write down what I think are important that the video says, and then when the questions come, I'm just answering them. But did I learn anything? No. But with AI, I can stop the AI and ask it clarifying questions. So, and we've configured a lot of AIs to do that. Like, I have an editor buddy. I don't write really well, so I will write something and I'll give it to editor buddy, and editor buddy is configured not only to fix my writing, but to tell me why it changed it. I now get personalized feedback on everything that I write, so I can now start to realize where I make mistakes. That is improving my writing in of itself. So now, of course, I want to use AI more. But think about this, right? So you have an AI configured to teach you something. We did a research in 2024 with 60 kids in a summer camp, and we gave them AI, and some used it, some didn't. And what we did, when we looked at the analysis, it showed the kids that used the AI more, learned more, remembered more, and their self-esteem went up. So then the other piece of why this is helpful is, now let's say I like Mark. I love Mark. I like how Mark explains things to the world. He's amazing. We configure a digital twin of Mark. And then we say, Mark, you're going to be a digital twin and you're going to be a master chef. I don't know if you're a chef. And so now you are teaching me how to be a chef, because the data from the internet is being, or the curriculum from the small language model, the data vault, is being filtered through your personality. And because I love how you communicate and share with the world, I can now learn how to be a master chef. It's a complete game changer.
Yeah, and I love that approach. And now that I'm thinking about it, how we used to work as people, right? Is you would just do your job every day, and then once a year, and if you're an excellent leader, more often, but once a year you would get feedback and maybe learn from that. You get a development plan for the next year and then grow the next year. And that was our learning cycle, where we're now in a position, and a lot of people use AI just to problem solve, but I think the way that you've just positioned it, it can give us direct feedback on all the work that we do. We can learn so much faster, even in our day-to-day, in the emails that we write, the meetings that we maybe have. We're constantly learning, growing, and we can decide for ourselves, maybe with our manager or with someone else, what we want to learn and grow in. And we can do that so much faster than we could before. I like that. It's such a different way of looking at how to use AI for learning instead of, just it's very different from the agent approach or the LLM approach. Although I know it is the same thing, same technology. You've said a small learning model or small language model a couple of times now. What does that mean? Just
So,
curious.
so small language model is basically um, a walled off environment with just your data, and the AI is instructed just to use that data. So we're evolving our speech. So we're trying to get all technical jargon out of it. That's the last thing. So we're going to move to data vault, right? So people understand what a data vault is. We know what a vault is. It's where you store important things. And now we're saying you're putting all your data in there. That's what it is. And I don't like to use this, but very, very simple. It's just a database. It's a vector database with all your content that the AI uses, and it doesn't go out to the internet and get pulled random information.
Cool. Makes sense. Just so you have all your own data and
Yeah.
past content and whatever in there, and then apply the AI to that. Okay. Some other questions about. Sorry, I'm jumping a bit from left to right.
That's okay. That's okay. This is fine.
Okay. You talked about the projects that you do, and there's some underserved communities in there, or some other communities in there. For us in corporate life, I think we're really used to using technology and big systems, and we've had those forever. How do people respond to systems like this, and how do they adjust when they suddenly see an AI helping them with all this knowledge? It must be such a leap to them.
Well, what I'm seeing is that people are happy about it, right? Because if you've spent any time in corporate, I mean, you could end up like working 12-hour days just to try to keep up. And then, you have your special projects every year that you're assigned to. And so being able to have a tool that really helps you. And so some people are using ChatGPT or Claude or one of those that's not corporate sanctioned. And they're like, it's not really working. And I was like, well, it's not working because it doesn't have any of your corporate data. And you should definitely not put your corporate data in those tools. But in the tools, in the areas where people put their corporate data in, uh, then we're seeing like absolutely positive results, because now the AI is not giving generic information, it's giving exact information. Kind of go back to my being able to use AI to create images now because it has context and data. Um, I think the other piece of corporate America that is coming out and it's hard to measure is improve interpersonal relations, right? So you and I work together, we're on the same team, and you explain something to me, and I say, I got it. And then you go off, I go off, and then I didn't get it. And then I might come back again, right? And then on the fourth time, you're not frustrated that you've had to repeat the same thing to me 4 times. What's wrong with you, Stephanie?
Yeah.
And then I now see your frustration, so I'm not going to come back and ask you anymore. So I'm just sitting there spinning. I'm making mistakes. Now it's time for the team to present the project deliverables, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and it's a mess. And so now you're frustrated and annoyed with me because now I'm messing up your bonus. And so now all of a sudden you're like, I don't want Stephanie on my team. And and so they're like, well, you don't have any choice. She has to be on your team. So now that relationship breaks down. Okay, now let's revisit that scenario. You came, you taught me something, you explained it to me, you put all the data into the AI, and then I don't understand, so I go and I ask the AI. The AI explains it, and I do a little bit, and I'm still not understanding, so I come back to the AI, and I've asked the AI 56 times, and on the 57th time, it finally clicks in, and I complete my deliverables. The project team looks great. We we exceed expectations. We're all fives. We get an extra bonus. Mark goes, Stephanie is a great person to be on my team. That's what we're seeing.
Just because people have the feedback, I think, from the AI, and just make sure that they actually have all the knowledge that they should have access to, but also actually understand it as well. So not just, because what we used to have, or still have probably, is just these big OneDrives or these big SharePoints or big Google Drives that have all these documents on it, but nobody understands and nobody reads because there's just too much data in there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So if we go back to the C-level and everything that you've just said, where should they start? Where do we start?
Well, we C-level people, we need to be intentional and fully understand what is going to happen. So I'll give you an example, right? There are people that started with us and they've evolved through roles and then they're no longer with us. And that's okay. Because what we've seen is that as you build out the AI agent and you get it to refine and do the work that you need, you might not need that person in that job. And then you have to find and that person can, some people will be able to evolve and reinvent themselves into new jobs, because there will be a new job. It's not like the jobs are just going to go all away and there's no new jobs coming up, right? There are going to be new jobs. And so as a C-level person, you need to just be honest with yourself that some people are going to not have a job. And so embrace that and then figure out how you want to show up for your team. And if you tell your team, look, this position no longer exists, what's another position that you can evolve into? And then they say, look, I can evolve into this position and I need this training, and you support it. And maybe it's a 50-50, right? Doesn't mean that it's a full 100% employer's responsibility to train the person. And I'll come back to that point in a minute so that people don't think that I'm somehow anti-employees. Once you realize that and you embrace that, so you embrace the positive and the negative of AI, you speak about both of them, and then you put strategies in place and you work with your team, then you will get the best. And you might be surprised that somebody might be in a position that they absolutely hate and felt stuck and thought they had no way out, and now all of a sudden you just gave them a way out and they're super excited and appreciative of you. And I want to come back to the thing about training, right? So there's two things that I tell people all throughout my career is, if I want to go learn something and I ask my employer, can they pay for it? And they say no, that does not mean that I don't go learn it, because I'm learning this for my employer as much as I'm learning it for me. And once I have the knowledge, employer can't take it away from me. And I remember when I first started after the internship, I got a job at a boutique consulting firm, and we're traveling all the time, and all we're using are desktops, because remember back in the day when desktop was a thing. And I said, this is not helpful. I have lots of dead time. So I went to my boss and I said, what if we go 50-50 on the laptop? And if I stay here for 2 years, the laptop's mine. If I leave before 2 years, either I have to buy you out or I have to give you back the laptop. And people are like, you're insane. Why would you do that? It's their responsibility to give you a laptop. I was like, no, it's not their responsibility. But even so, I'm a consultant. A laptop is part of my tool belt. And I think that outside of tradespeople, most people don't get that. This comes back. It's your responsibility to figure out AI, figure out how you and AI are going to coexist, how you and AI are going to create a digital handshake, and then find a home that's going to appreciate you with your AI.
I love that. And it's been my mantra for the past, let's say, 10, 15 years of leadership as well. To all the people that have worked for me, it's, I can give you training, and I will on the corporate budget when there's room and there's approvals and it is hard. In the end, it's your responsibility. You're going to work for 40 years, right? Roughly, let's say 40 years from now. It's your responsibility to make sure that you remain employable for the full 40 years. You need to learn, you need to grow, you need to develop yourself. And that's an investment not in the company, not in me as a manager, that it's your investment in you. And I can't make that investment for you. You have to spend the time, and I know that's really valuable. You have to spend time to learn and to read and to learn more about what is AI or anything else, marketing, sales, podcast, editing, whatever. You need to spend the time, and you need to learn and grow and develop. And that's an investment in you. It doesn't end after 4 years of university or college. You've got to keep growing always.
Yeah, and I think that like leads me into something else, if I may. It's is the future of work and the future of learning. And so we have been thinking about, once you graduate from university, that's it. And, only the overachievers and only the people that are in disciplines that require continuing education keeps going to school, and I'm good. And then you hit your 50s, and then you become too expensive for your position, and then they let you go, and then you're angry that I gave my entire life to this company and they look at how they treated me without any accountability. And I'm saying, like, the future of work is you never really stop working. In fact, I'm advocating that the entire learning continuum gets like blown up and started over again. That we should be birthed to 8 years old. All we're focusing on are emotional intelligence, how you can self-soothe, how you can um, be a good team player, how you could be a good citizen of the world, all of that. And then from 8 till about 14, we're exposing you to all the subjects and all the disciplines. And then from 14 to 18, you pick two or three that you're really good at, or you're interested in, and you go deep dive. And so when you graduate from high school, your employer knows that you're you're not fully trained yet, and that they have a process in place to train you up. So your employer hooks you up with your AI. Here, Mark, here's your AI. Maybe here's your digital twin, Mark. And your digital twin has your personality and all of their content. So now you're navigating through the ranks. And in 6 months, you're producing like somebody that's been there for 5 years. And if you're going to university, that there's a different approach that the university has to um, set up. And I know people will say, and it is true, not everything that we did in the past that we stopped doing, we should still continue to stop doing. We could go back to it's apprenticeship. It's a whole different way of thinking about stuff. But if we were to think about that whole continuum, so you're constantly learning, and you might be in a position for 5 to 7 years, and then you might try something else, or you go back to school and learn something else. And I did a year in 2022 at Harvard Advanced Leadership Initiative program. It's for executives that are reinventing themselves, wanting to do social good. And that's a privileged program right now. Like, only a privileged few can take a year off of their life and go back to school. What if that is no longer a privileged thing, but just a normal course of events?
That anyone can do or anyone can take or just a whole year of. And I love again how you've positioned AI not as a tool that's helping us, not as a tool that's automating some of our work, but actually as a tool that is supporting us with learning and making our lives better. Yeah, I love that. So then to wrap it all up a little bit, that's where we are now. But then, I mean, and this has all happened in the past 3 years, I think, right now, when ChatGPT first came out. It's been an incredible 3 years. It's going as fast as it did in the beginning. What are we going to see in another 3 or 5 years? And what are the organizations that are now fully adopting this and embracing this going to look like versus the rest? What does the future look like? What do you think?
No, there's two futures I'm trying to build. One, I'm trying to build a future where, as you get older and you no longer want to work 40, 50 hours a week, but you still want to contribute, that you can. So creating a mechanism where we can create a digital twin of you, so we can capture all your wisdom, your personality, your content, and so forth. So people are able to use you and get your access, and you get compensated, so it's monetized. Um The second thing that I am and along that line is also configuring AI agents for the roles that you had. So this is how Mark did his job. And so we're going to configure the AI agent this way. And so it's a close approximation of how Mark does his job. And and again, right, you can monetize that because they're doing your IP. The second thing is, what if we could use AI to maintain equilibrium 90% of the time? So what if you could have a personality chip that has your personality, therapeutic interventions to help get you back to equilibrium, and monitoring of your biometrics and your brain waves. So when you're out of equilibrium, the AI, the chip goes, Mark, you're good. And if you that simple, you're good, causes your brain to stop and see, and then you decide if you want to stay out of equilibrium or you want to go back. And then because AI knows you, knows what techniques will get you back to equilibrium, get back to equilibrium.
Cool. I love that. I love the second part. Sounds a bit far-fetched, but indeed with the developments and where they're going, who knows how fast we'll get there. Stephanie, it's been incredible having you on. Where can people find you? Where do we find you online?
Avatarbuddy.ai, LinkedIn, Stephanie Sylvester, TRE. And if you mention the CTO Compass, I'll be happy to give you half an hour to just kind of like help you think through your AI strategy.
Cool. I really appreciate that. I will put everything in the links below the podcast for sure. Stephanie, thank you very much for coming on and sharing everything.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
As we wrap up another episode of the CTO Compass, thank you for taking the time to invest in you. The speed at which tech and AI develop is increasing, demanding a new era of leaders in tech. Leaders that can juggle team and culture, code and infra, cyber and compliance, all whilst working closely with board members and stakeholders. We're here to help you learn from others, set your own goals and navigate your own journey. And until next time, keep learning, keep pushing, and never stop growing.